Put a smile on your face when you're moving from place to place. Good morning.
Viewers, welcome back this morning to the Tobago Updates Morning Show. We're chatting this morning with Assemblyman Sonny Craig, Assistant Secretary for the Division of Health, Wellness and Social Protection. Viewers, our focus this morning is on International Day of the Boy Child 2023. Assemblyman, good morning and welcome to the Tobago Updates Morning Show.
Good morning, Tobago Updates. Good morning to Tobago. Good morning to the World Wide Web. Happy to be here. Always happy to be here with you, Rhea.
All right, I'm happy to hear that. Now, even as we're talking about May 16th being the International Day of the Boy Child, I got to ask, Assemblyman Craig, any boys?
I have too many to count. I have none biologically, but I take responsibility for every boy child I see, you know, because boys, I mean, everybody's special, but boys need something a little extra sometimes. And I think that I try to do my part when I see boy children anyway. Yeah?
Yeah. And this year, the focus, or International Day of the Boy Child, focuses on their well-being, their needs to feel happy, healthy, and valued within family and community. You have been with the division for just about 2 years or so. Assemblyman Craig.
Yes.
And from your interactions with the communities in Tobago and outside of Tobago, when we look at the blocks, when we look at our communities, do you think enough is being done to ensure that the well-being, the boys are made to feel happy, healthy, and valued within family and community?
Well, of course, the answer to that is a no. I don't think the boys are where they should be. I must send out a congratulations to the boys who are doing well, though. I know we need to focus on those that are struggling, but I go through the system and I see young men who still pursue a more disciplined approach to life. Even when I came in here this morning, I noticed all your technicians are young men.
Yes.
And that's something that's really commendable. However, as you made reference to the blocks are a really serious challenge. And I had a good friend who came out of Port of Spain, actually. He was from George Street. And he told me the reason why he didn't get really wrapped up in crime and so on, because there was gang warfare and turf war where he came from. He said his mother, he said he always felt loved and appreciated at home, right on George Street. And he's living in Tobago now, and he's doing better. But I think that the challenges with our boy children begin in the homes. As a division, we would like to know, and it would be public outcry would be for the government to do something about every challenge we face. However, our first line of defense, our first port of call would have to be the homes. Not everyone is blessed to have the ideal configuration in their homes. I was blessed to have both parents. I grew up with mother and father, and I know the benefits of that.
Definitely.
Single parents have a different struggle. And that struggle would mean sometimes certain levels of depression, especially with women who carry the children on their own. It might be easy to just get these boys out of the place because boys have a different energy.
Yes, they do.
I mean, I never had boy children, but I grew up and I had the energy. And my father was a strong hand over me, you know? And as a consequence, that never overpowered me to the point where I came to being rebellious or being
different generation.
Indisciplined, you know? So there's a lot to be done. And I'm thinking that maybe we need to begin with empowering homes. Homes are a kind of safe zone and a kind of exclusive, unless social workers really get in there and unravel what's happening. Sometimes we never know what's in a home once the doors are closed. And so somewhere in the conversation, we have plans to do something about child rearing, do something about how homes are managed, because it's not hard to see, because from the division, persons come to us for assistance all the time. And when you listen to the configuration in some of these homes and the situation, you know, the children, the father or fathers, the absentee fathers, you realize that this is the problem. You have to leave the children by a neighbor just to make a day to get bread because there's nothing in the cupboard. And many times we could be judgmental about people, but we do not have, not every family has the same variables. in working out their challenges. And so sometimes when you look at the variables and you look at the end product, even though now we might sit and say she was irresponsible, you know, or whatever you want to describe them, when you look at her options, sometimes it seems as though that's the only option.
Yeah.
So that we need to pull back a bit and really look at this thing and be able to ascertain what's the best way forward. Yeah, so the division is working on it. We are working on it.
All right, and just to tell our rather inform our viewers that the 2023 theme for International Day of the Boy Child is boys and mental health. I grew up, I'm probably just a few years younger than you, probably. I could probably hope. But you know, the era that I grew up in, boys were not made to feel comfortable sharing their emotions, or sharing, you know, their thoughts. Boys were not. It was not okay for boys to cry or get emotional or have a mental breakdown. It was not okay.
Right.
It was okay for girls to cry, but not okay for boys. But as life moved on, we live in a world now where it is okay for boys and men to cry. It's okay to be emotional. It's okay to show your emotions publicly. It's okay to talk about your emotions publicly. But you know, we're still at a you don't seem to agree. I'm seeing the expression on your face, Mr. Craig.
Well, you said you grew up in a time when that was how boys were indoctrinated.
Right.
I am one of those boys.
So you don't show emotion, or
I
you
do.
publicly.
I do, because there are times when you just have to let it out, you know.
Right.
But there is still a withdrawal
taboo
within me,
Yeah.
you know, you could talk something very emotional here, and I'll swallow the cry. I'm going to a funeral today, and you go to funerals and you hardly see men break down and cry. You see more women around the casket crying. So the belief is that it's more a gender separation in being emotional and being, because Caribbean men interpret it in some way of like being soft.
Yes.
And that's the worst adjective you could use to describe a Caribbean man.
Yes.
As being
Agreed.
soft. Yeah, no. So, and maybe we need to understand that it's not being soft, it's being real, you know. And there is a time when a man has to get up and get. In the worst situation, in the most challenging situations, when your family is under stress, you can't join the wife and children and cry. You have to deal with that situation. So this I agree with you, yeah, because I mean I cry from time to time, more in my quiet moments by myself, you know,
Right.
because of the same analogy you raised. But men have this responsibility to take care of family, and your children are hungry. Your wife is stressed, you can't be crying. You have to be on the move and deal with the situation. But I agree with you.
You have to take up the mantle.
You need to take up the mantle. And that starts from the boys we have. Because many of our boys function in the absence of good role models.
Right.
I had good role models because I was blessed to grow up in the church network. So I had people like Pastor Dutton, Clive Dutton. You might know that name.
That's right, definitely.
I had in the politics, there was a guy in my church named James Ivan Auguste. He was an accountant that returned home from the States, and he ran for Tobago parliamentary elections, and he won, right? So I always looked up to him. And I had these men around me. I would go to camp, and Pastor Dutton was the man there. I even have role models I took from who were younger than me. As a teenager, I admired Pastor Mapp, who was a year or two younger than me. And as a teenager, he was there preaching in camp. And I was admiring him. So, and I could also strike the balance with the negative.
Yeah.
There were men who were moving in a different direction. You see, sometimes it seemed as though on the block they were the one cost the most bad one. Who could drink the most, and they had nice. And I'm watching it and I'm saying to myself, I'm saying, I don't want to be like that.
No, this is not what I want. Yeah.
This is not what I want for myself. So we need some role models in our societies. And they are there now but some men do not understand the value of what they bring to the table. And they do not know how much people are looking at them. Because sometimes young men come to me now and they said, as a child, They thought I was a giant. They thought I was the biggest, most powerful man in the world. I didn't know people were watching me. So every man in our society has a responsibility to model the kind of men we would like to see our children to know to be.
Now, let me just say very quickly here what's happening on the live. Challenor Birchwood, and I'm calling the names here, says Tobago's advantage in being more peaceful was that we had men around us. Now more than ever, we need more men for mentorship for our young boys.
Yes.
He also says here, to help lower the crime rate, we need more men for mentorship for our young men to guide them. Julia Brown says, I said to my son once, never let anyone tell you crying is for mama men. Crying is expressing your emotion. The shortest verse is Jesus wept. Yes. Boy, please don't be afraid to cry. Julia Brown, I love this. I really love this. All right, so if Jesus cried, if Jesus cried,
at least once.
At least once that was recorded. Did he cry on the cross? Did he cry on the cross? At least this one that was recorded here.
Yeah, it was recorded.
Right?
And that's significant. That's big. That's big.
So it's okay, and we need to mention here that it is okay for boys and our men to cry, to show that emotion. All right? And it's all in an effort to produce better men, a better generation. All right. So there's an urgent need to focus on the home and school in order to save the boy child.
Well, as the person made reference to the school, that's a place we definitely need to go, not just as instructors, but to encourage more young men to get into leadership in our schools. That's a place that I know definitely the Tobago House of Assembly will have to make a deliberate effort. Kudos to the women who step out to become teachers.
Yeah.
I know teaching is not an easy profession. I did some little classes, art classes and so on, and just to get this small group together, focused. Teaching is not easy. To do that every day for years. However, we need to put something in place maybe to have incentives to have more men consider teaching as a profession. That's another strength I had. As a child, I had Mr. Baker, who started Rapid Response.
Yes.
I had Roel Carrington. He was my choir teacher. I had Michael Duncan, another musician. These guys taught the choir, they taught the classes. So now I just can't stop singing. I'm singing every day.
Yeah.
From Booker Primary School, Fulton, Alfred, Calendar from Blackrock. The school had a serious balance of male and female teachers. There were young men who were giving serious challenges to Teacher Percy. That's the one immortalizing song. That's his wife. She was my principal.
The teacher Percy say if you tell a lie.
Right, his wife was my principal.
Yes.
And she had Mr. Baker and these giants around her. No boys couldn't give trouble in school. And you go to Booker Point now, where we went to primary school, and you will see the young men, the products of that time. I mean, all wouldn't turn out perfect, but there is that sense of respect, that sense of balance. We have good conversation when we meet up. We go have good memories. And I think that we need to do something to get more males into leadership where the boys are concerned.
Totally agree. And I dare say here to the female teachers, there is a way to teach boys. There is a way to speak to boys. And I'm not saying here that you need I'm talking about a level of respect, but there is a way to treat boys, particularly young boys.
Yes.
But I've seen and heard of too many cases where some teachers believe, boy, who you think? No, there is a way to deal with boys.
Yes, well, I mean, you have the experience because you taught my children, you taught my children at a certain point in time. Yes, and definitely. And I am never taught in the school setting. But I'm of the view that you must look at every child as a potential success.
Yes.
You look at every child as a potential success, and that should guide your speech, your conversation, your disciplines.
Yeah. Because
my memory is so good with teachers, and I know the teachers who cared for me. And sometimes even to enter something on Facebook, the consciousness that one of my teachers could read it. I prefer to put up pretty things than to put up obscenity on Facebook because that respect you have for the persons who shaped you as you grew, you know?
Yes. I see Chalana Birchwood is even adding to the conversation here by saying the Cadet Corps, Boys Brigade, the Police Youth Club in Tobago are great areas for teaching leadership for young boys, and certainly these are excellent. Yes, Mr.
And
Birchwood.
he's one of our stalwarts who lives overseas. Good morning, Mr. Birchwood. We went to Scarborough Sec together. He was a little boy to me in school, but I must big him up this morning for joining the conversation in such a meaningful way. Cadets, and of course you could add Pathfinders to that. I was a Pathfinder.
Yes, thank you. Pathfinders, definitely.
And these clubs really do a lot to structure young people and to have them focused.
And let me say here, Pathfinders takes you out into the wilderness and they teach you survival skills.
Yes.
We're heading into an age and an era where we're going to need those survival skills.
Oh, yes.
Harrigan Henry says, strong men cry in public. I totally agree with you. And I encourage men to stand up and do what is right at the end of the day. Thank you so much.
Harrigan Henry is one of my mentors, actually.
Yes.
He's one of the guys I looked up to growing up. And I could understand where he's coming from. But
did you ever say that to him, or is this the first time that he's hearing that?
When he says that, he knows my reaction, what my reaction would be, you know. But I support it, you know. I support it. I don't want you to think that I don't support it.
Yes.
But I will tell you something. There are things that would have to move in tandem in the society. If you get all your men being presented as weak, it affects your society.
Yeah.
It affects your society. So in our crying, we must never lose the focus of who we are as the leaders in the society. Now, some people will challenge me on this. Of course, that's your right.
Mm-hmm.
But we need to ensure, and men need to ensure, that they understand their role in the society as protectors, because as providers. You understand what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So you can't be there crying holy.
No, you can't be there crying all day. But I have to say here, and I make no apologies for saying that sometimes some of us women, we need to be quiet and allow our men to be men.
Right.
We quarrel that men are not stepping up and our boys are not stepping up.
Yes.
But we don't give them the opportunity to, because we talk so much about what we want them to do that we don't allow them to do what they know they need to do. So sometimes it's okay, sisters, just keep quiet for a minute and allow them to be men, you know.
Yeah.
All right?
Yes, my dear, yes.
All right, but I want to thank you. J.J. Allen says it's about emotional intelligence and balance. Thank you so much for that as well.
Thank you very much.
Right.
That's
but
good.
in terms of the division, there are plans in the future for opportunities to celebrate our men and boys.
Of course. And what we want to do, we want to marry this campaign be going on with the different arms of the state that deal with young men, from the high schools, the intercol programs. We want to be a part of all this as we go forward, so that the young men, the boys are impacted early.
Yes.
I have the sad reality of burying a boy tomorrow, the guy who suffered at the guy who got killed in the shooting in Montpellier last week, and I knew him. He very respectful to me in the community. And it's a sad reality that so many, back to where we began the conversation, so many of our young men are being tied up in the block life. And if you look at the murders in Tobago for the year so far, most of the young men are in this group, the block life group. And we have a lot of work to do. So our programs definitely would aim at getting to the young men as young as preschool and trying to influence them positively as they grow. Yeah. Okay.
Well, thank you so much. Thank you so much, Assemblyman Sonny Craig, for chatting with us. Always a pleasure to chat with you. Viewers, we want to thank you so much for joining us today. We say have a great day. Stay safe on Tobago's roads, and wherever you are, stay safe on the roads. We've got GMT coming up this morning with Chanel Felix. Just before we head on there, we're going to head on over to Tobago Notes. So have a great one. We'll see you tomorrow. It's Wednesday. Tomorrow is Youth Wednesday, so you're going to see those young people out. So have a great day, Tobago. Bye-bye.